and who I am and what we're doing. And I will introduce Jeremy. And then y'all can introduce yourselves, and we'll just kind of go with it. I think I'd like to kind of keep this informal. I'd like to keep this kind of light, and yeah. So anyway, my name is Dharma. Nice to meet you. With Jeremy's help, I run Road to Autonomy magazine. It's some of you, I believe, are in the group Road to Autonomy, or RtA magazine. I think it's been rebranded to now. It's quite frankly, I haven't been in there in a while. I think the group's a bit of a shit show. But the magazine, on the other hand, I'm pretty happy about. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check out the magazine, but if not, I would love for you to pop over to rtamagazine.com, check out our latest issue, check out what we're about if you're not familiar. And we are a monthly magazine focusing on all things autonomy. My dream for this magazine project is to bring people that don't necessarily agree, ANCAPs, ANCOMs, status, black flags, whoever, together to work together to raise our game individually, to exchange ideas, exchange information, exchange tips and pointers on how to become anonymous, how to autonomous, how to remain autonomous, food preservation and growing, homestead advice, spiritual growth, homeopathic medicine, homeschooling, unschooling, Bitcoin information, as well as trying to do everything in my power to create a safe network for people that we can count on in case the shit hits the fan. Silas, or Jeremy, is joining us. He is my partner in the magazine. He is primarily, he writes a couple articles for me, as well as handles RtA Radio, our new podcast that basically complements our magazine. So Jeremy, if you want to speak.
Sure. I mean, howdy, people. Yeah, I'm. Largely. I was largely a silent partner in this magazine until lately. So, yeah. I mean, pretty much everything Dharma said. I'm on board with it. We kind of met up at kind of the right time because we both shared a lot of similar ideas and values and project plans for the future that we just randomly stumbled across each other in some key-based group we both got added to, and we went off on our own and started talking and realized, wow, we really are in sync with a lot of this stuff. So we should probably work together. And now we do in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, I know of the idea of freedom cells. I mean, I know of. I guess John Bush is the one who originally, I guess, is credited with coming up with this whole idea, right? I know of him. Never had the chance to meet him. Derek Bros, I have had a chance to meet on a couple of occasions. And I, through social media and stuff, I kind of know some people that are involved in it. But this is my first actual experience with talking with any of you fine folks. So this is pretty cool for me. And I mean, I love the whole idea. So I think, what we're doing, what you guys are doing, I think there's definitely some collaboration possible there. So I'm pretty excited about seeing what we can do together.
Sweet.
Yay.
Yeah, and we I didn't bring any notes or anything. I just kind of figured I'm glad you're informal, because I just figured we could just let you ask questions, or we could just talk, just let it flow organically the way the freedom cells work, actually. So
yes, please. Let's keep it simple, I'm all about it. So why don't y'all oh, sorry, go ahead. Why don't y'all go ahead and introduce you guys, Kimberly and company, and I can meet you guys.
All right. I'm Kimberly Sudich. I'm the one that you corresponded with at first, obviously. Alex tagged me in the Road to Autonomy group and was asking, if Lisa and us would be interested in it. And I was like, yeah, definitely. That sounds like that sounds like awesome. Like I'd love to collaborate, you know? So it was a little bit last minute because I thought you were looking for someone for December, but I got a show of hands of like 4 or 5 people interested. And so I shot right back to you and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what we're going to do this. So
I love it.
This is 4 of our core cell right here. So this is half of our cell basically.
Okay, excellent.
And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Matt
I'm
Garrett.
not running the show.
I'm Matt Garrett. I'm from northeastern Oklahoma. Glad to be here.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Oh yeah, I'm from Tulsa.
I'm Lisa Bowman, and I'm from Tulsa as well. And we got this group together when I started. I sort of brought our old coffee chats back to life. We used to meet a couple years ago pretty regularly. And then after all the COVID BS and the lockdowns and whatnot, I needed to reconnect with everybody. So I just started a coffee meetup, and it turned into organizing our freedom cells.
So smart. I love it.
And
Good timing too.
All 4 of us met 3 or 4 years ago through
Yeah.
Derek Rose.
Yeah, about three.
Yeah, we met.
Before then.
Okay, they met before then. Yeah.
About 3 years ago, Derek Rose's first tour came through Tulsa, and we hosted it, and that's where we kind of reconnected. We'd met before, but we reconnected, and then we hosted the second one as well 2 years ago, and I don't know, we've stayed in contact since.
That's amazing.
Very cool.
And my name is Chet. I grew up in Western Oklahoma, but I've lived in Tulsa for close to 10 years. So I consider myself a green country transplant.
I love it.
But it's pretty nice over here.
Well, it's funny. Who knew? I know a couple of anarchists in Oklahoma who always swear they're the only ones there, but apparently they lie.
It's just hard to find each
Hard to
other
find.
here.
Yeah, we're here.
Hey, listen, I get it. Unfortunately, I spent most of my life, and especially since I became an anarchist up until only a couple of years ago, in the Democratic People's Republic of New Yorkistan, as I refer to it. And I always swore that I was alone up there, that there was nobody. And then I finally moved out of there. And then I realized, oh my God, I started making friends. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys live like a couple towns away from me this whole time? How did we not find each other? So I get it.
Well, that's what's great about the Freedom Cells platform is it's global, so anybody can jump on there, kind of stick a pin in the map of where they are, and connect with other people in their area. And since we've started this, we've met 3 or 4 people in our area, and we met them through Freedom Cells. And one guy lives 2 blocks away from me.
That's so cool when that works
Wow.
out.
Talk about a small world.
Yeah, I love it. I think anarchists are notorious for being reclusive, aren't they? Like we're like in our bubble, like just kind of leave us out of it. Just leave us alone. Just please leave us alone. And so we are kept with, just so limited friend base because we're stay off our lawn.
Taboo.
And it's painful
That's my
dealing with this, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you are not kidding. It is a special kind of hell to have to deal with the status for sure. So yeah, I can get it. I am just as reclusive as any other anarchist. Believe me. Don't let the magazine fool you. I don't answer like 90% of my phone calls.
Oops, there she goes freezing again. Even that crappy internet.
I do have crappy internet. I'm really sorry. If I do freeze or if you don't catch what I'm saying, please stop me, and hopefully this thing will kind of clear up a little bit. So excellent. It's really, really great to meet y'all. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Chet, Lisa, Matt, and Kimberly, and Jeremy, I very much appreciate your guys' time, and it was kind of last minute, but I'm so inspired by your group and by what you're doing and by just the timing of everything. I think when an idea is ready to be born, it springs up all over the place. And your idea is springing up. Pasnia behind me sprung up. There's a couple others that are springing up. Caledonia seems very familiar with the Freedom Cell Network. And you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with Caledonia, but just places all over the United States that are starting to spring up on these little autonomous zones, and it's inspiring. And the fact that you guys aren't waiting for someone to save us, you guys are getting out there, meeting each other, and starting to doing the things. It's inspiring. So I'm curious about what things.
There you go again.
Poop. I'm sorry. what kind of things are you guys
When the guy's sitting in a truck stop on his phone has better internet service.
I know, it's so bad. It's so bad. Well, all right. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm curious about what type of things you guys are doing, preparing for. What do you do when you meet? I don't want, I'm slinging crack, I don't want, even if you are, no judgment whatsoever if you do sling crack, but please keep in mind that we are going to post this probably for bonus content. So any super illegal activities, maybe tell me off the recording, but tell me about what you guys are doing.
Well, a couple of months ago, we put in a deep mulch garden bed in my backyard, and we did sort of a garden blitz. So most of our group was there, and we have about 5 or 6 people, and we knocked this out in about 2.5 hours. And that was the layer of cardboard, and then that compost, and then mulch. And then we just hung out for a while, and I fed everybody. We set a few goals that we're working on, like food storage. So we're trying to work up to 3 months of food storage. And we discussed doing bulk buys of food. And we also have a thriving local farmer culture here. And so we have lots of local farmers that you can just order, and they deliver it to your front door. So we've talked about ordering together for some of those items. One of the big projects that we're working on is building an aircrete dome. We plan on doing this in April, and Matt's a big part of that, with helping with the build. And one of our other members is an engineer, so he's helping sort of design it. And we're going to find a place to do sort of our test dome, and it's going to be a small one. And then from there, we would like to start offering this to our other community members and our other cell members, with the idea that we could make this sort of an agorist business, where we can work with all those communities, create a sustainable home where we could do it off-grid too. So that's kind of our big one. And we're working on communications and setting up alternative communication with ham and TV radio. Those are kind of the things we're actively working on right now, and we have a never-ending list of other great ideas and projects. So.
The lists are never ending, aren't they? Honestly, we could write on a roll of toilet paper and we'd run out of toilet paper before we got done with our goals, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and Kim, she's like our IT security niche, and so she's working on a project too.
With the larger Freedom Cells security tech group, and so far as we're trying to create protocols and testing all of these different secure apps, and we want to do be able to set up or make the protocol and document how to do everything, to where we can take a server and set it up and program soft phones and everything go through that server, and none of it be on a carrier. So untraceable, no GPS, nothing like that, just out. And then that will be passed along to the rest of the freedom cells. So it's kind of like a good, it's something we can use for our cell, but it's also something that can be standardized and spread.
Smart. Very smart. Okay. This is fantastic. So I want to digress a little bit. I want to go back to the deep mulch gardening. I'm curious. So Lisa, do you offer your garden to your freedom cell? If they work in it, they get the fruits of your labors, or how do you
kind of in exchange for all their help in getting this built, I'm going to share my bounty with them.
Excellent. Excellent.
So, yeah, anybody's welcome to come over and play in it if they'd like to.
That's fantastic. And so with the food storage also in the farmers that you have access to, is that something that you'll also store the food for, or is this divvying up?
Well, I think basically we'd all store it in our own places, but some of us have storage issues. And so I've offered up some space in my house to help keep some of their food if that's needed.
Great. I ask because there are a lot of anarchists. I'm sure you probably have come across, and not even just anarchists, there are a lot of people who want to start some sort of autonomous zone or networking, but they have no idea how to start. And so I'm always curious how existing groups function, how they work, how they remain individual, yet at the same time, working with the mutual aid. So I just like to hear how y'all do things.
Well, there's a couple of things I would like to point out. First is our cell, through our other member who's an engineer, he is also in a cell, where is it?
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, he kind of has his
main cell.
help, and then he's connected.
Yeah, and then he's connected with us, so that kind of,
And
those are, yeah, so that we
Good
kind of have a
network.
little meta cadre here. We're actually all meeting later this month. We're all going to get together and meet. So our cell is going to meet with like another cell that's close by, and we're going to start being able to work with them. And so that's really exciting. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
And one of those people too, the Ozark cell, is a hog farmer and an agorist. So that's also offered up. If anybody needs to buy a hog or have a hog, then we have a guy to go to.
That's fantastic. That is tremendous. I love to hear that. So
That would be good for me to know. I have a cow guy, and I have sheep that I've being kept for me in Pasnia, but I don't have a hog guy yet. So that's good to know.
It's in Southwest Missouri, I think.
Cool. That's not too far away.
I pass through there fairly regularly, so I'm sure I could swing by at some point, pick up some meat. I just got to find a way to store it. That's my next project. Is getting freezers set up all over the country because I travel. I live in a Sprinter van and I travel the country, so keeping all my meat on me is not exactly the easiest thing to do.
Oh, I'll tell you then, since you're kind of nomadic, is we're having our second Mid-Fest in April. April 17th and 18th is the main weekend, but people will be there before and after, and it's Davenant, Oklahoma.
I am in that Telegram group because
cool.
last year's got canceled, right? There was supposed to be one last year, and they had to cancel that because of the weather. And then the first one was this year, right? Is that how it worked out? If I remember correctly,
it was just rescheduled, and we had it in October.
Oh, okay. It was earlier. It was supposed to be earlier. Oh, yeah. I don't even remember how I stumbled across that originally, but I got invited to it, and I wanted to make it. And as it turned out, I was passing through there like 3 days before it started. And I had to keep moving on, and I was like, oh no, I'm actually here in Oklahoma, but you guys are going to be here for a few days. This isn't going to work.
Well, April 17th and 18th.
We're going to have it.
Hopefully I can make that one.
Yeah.
That is tremendous. So that's great.
Well, one other thing I wanted to interject really quick. because what you were saying, Dharma, about, a lot of people wanting to start these type of things but not knowing how. I really like what what I know about the freedom cells in general, and what I'm hearing from you guys already. I really like, because I find the biggest stumbling block for a lot of people who have these ideas but say they don't know where to get started is, a lot of people seem to assume like they have to get a plot of land and they have to start doing this homestead thing like in real time right away. So I think the fact that you guys are getting together and starting to put all these ideas like into action, but like doing it from your own separate homes and then getting together, like whatever, like that's great, because I don't think enough people realize that. It's oh, I have to have this property or I can't do it at all,
Yeah.
like the idea of PASDA in general. Our friend Shane, who runs the one, the starter one, it just so happened to work out that he has a bunch of acres in Southern Illinois, so he had the opportunity to offer this to the rest of us. But so many other people, I find, what you were saying, Darv, so many people are like, oh, this sounds like such a good idea, but I could never do this. Well, screw that. Why can't you? And you guys are proof of that. That's effing wonderful. I just wanted to put that out there.
I totally agree. It's absolutely inspiring what you guys are doing. I know from other groups that Michigan, there's a lot of ANFAM Michigan that are doing the same.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
I love those guys, but they're lazy. I mean, they got great ideas, but they don't actually put anything together. A couple of them do. They could. The Michigan ANFAM is probably one of the biggest ones in the country that I know of. And of all places, Michigan. It's really weird. But a bunch of these people manage to find each other. There's a huge group, and they keep living their lives, and half of them keep working their corporate jobs, and they talk a good game, but they're not actually out doing this. I mean, they put on the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest every year, which is great. I love it. It's up until now, it's been my favorite festival to attend. But yeah, they're not even going as far as you guys. Like, they talk about this type of stuff, but the most they do is they have every weekly or every other week meetup where they get together at a bar or a restaurant and sit around and bitch about the state. Now, I'm all for sitting around bitching about the state. I've joined them on multiple occasions, but you guys are actually doing shit.
Well, we just had to start where we're at. And a lot of us, do have jobs, and it's really hard to think about this when you come home at the end of the day and on the weekends when you have such very little time, but it's just become a priority for all of us. And
So smart.
Kept me sane.
Yeah, same.
I'm sure.
We hope to be able to help each other out and not be stuck in those 9-to-5 jobs. And so we can get those, our agorist businesses going, and to support ourselves and whatever common goals that we have as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. There's some people in our cell that they have land already, and some of them are already living that lifestyle, but a lot of us aren't in a position to just up and leave the city. So we're doing what we can, like, while we can, to prevent, because we don't know when shit is going to hit the fan. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen at some point, but the whole, like, when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, if not 20 years ago, today.
Right.
So we're planting our tree.
Yeah, we're planting our tree.
And we're creating the conditions for it instead of waiting for the conditions.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
I think if something like this could or would trend across the nation, we might find that shit hitting the fan may not even ever happen. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The more people can become autonomous and self-sufficient within their own tribe, within their own freedom cell, within their own PASDA, whatever, the more it doesn't fucking matter what king is elected to rule us, because we have what we need. We're feeding ourselves. We're communicating with ourselves safely. We're protecting ourselves. And truly, once all of that happens, and once enough of us start doing that, government becomes ignored. They become a non-issue.
Actually, I think Derek just posted something about this yesterday, the day before. Like when shit hits the fan, or if society starts attacking each other, the government's going to step back and allow it to happen, and they're
Yes.
not going to take part for a little while, and then they're going to come back and be like, oh look, this is so terrible, you need help, and the people
Yep.
will automatically be like, yes, we need help. But if enough of us start doing things like this and creating and getting these action things done and spreading the word and networking as much as we can, then the people can throw that shit right back in the government's face.
Exactly right. And we can say, no, we're good.
We're
We're
we don't
good.
need you.
That's right. And really, that's my goal with the magazine is maybe 100 years ago, everybody knew how to bake bread. Maybe 100 years ago, everybody knew how to can tomatoes. 100 years ago, everybody knew how to educate their own children. 100 years ago, people knew how to work their own gardens, their own farms. They knew how to overwinter with cardboard and mulch. Honest to goodness, it's brilliant. I love it. But for whatever reason, 100 years now, we have greatly become so dependent on the state that we've lost a lot of those skills. So it's my hope to connect these skills. And in the magazine, I've got how to can, how to distill your own alcohol, how to work in your garden, how to plan your homestead, how to make homeopathic medicine, because fuck doctors anymore. And how to make tinctures and how to make salves and how to use aromatherapy and massage and touching and human interaction. Yes, absolutely. And spiritual expansion, I think, is a part of that also. And the more I can bring those resources out, the more that I can bring tribes like yours with other tribes, Caledonia, Pasnia, take your pick, the more we can increase our skill set and increase our autonomy without having to reinvent the wheel 700 times. So it's really inspiring to see how different tribes do things, because we're all so different. We're all so individual. And some people's obstacle is another person's playground. And if we can network those things, hopefully our goals will come to fruition, and government can get boot fucked to the curb, and we can just kind of be free. Yeah. Like
Right
if we could just do that, that'd be great. So
That's a really excellent viewpoint. As just speaking as ourselves, just recently we've had to have like some pretty intense, we had to have a pretty intensive core meetup to go over some things that probably should have been gone over a little earlier maybe, but we just didn't think about it. Like,
you live and you learn.
Quite have
but we don't
consistency yet.
Yeah,
but
but
do it.
it wasn't. We didn't look at it as an obstacle. We looked at it as a growing experience,
Right.
a learning.
Good for you.
Experience. That's how we all just kind of like agree on that kind of stuff. Like, so.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's what you have to do, but that mindset is hard to get in, like people get stuck, and I myself am not above this. People get stuck and all they see are the why you can't. And, some people get fixated on the hangups and the obstacles, whereas you guys are like, no, fuck that. Let's meet. Let's figure this out. Like, growing hurts. Growing pains are called growing pains for a fucking reason, and let's get through it. And honest to goodness, that alone is super inspiring, because everything in here is telling me to hunker the fuck down, and you guys are like, no, we're doing this. And I love that. And I that's why we're meeting today, because I'm like, wow, I got to meet these people.
Awesome.
I don't really think anybody should ever be ashamed about faking it to make it, because sometimes you just have to.
True story. True story.
I tell Dharma that all the time. I've been telling you that since we met.
That's like my middle name, like fake it till I make it. I'm still waiting to make it. Honest to God.
I find myself smiling watching like anime or like just like, and I'm like, why am I smiling? Because I've just gotten into this habit of like smiling all the time. Like I smile like when I go, I don't wear masks, and when I go to stores here where it's mandated until like I just walk in and I instantly, and they're like, "Do you?" I'm like, "No, thank you. I can't wear them," and I just smile and keep walking. And so people always call me a bitch or something because I don't know. I guess I'm intimidating, probably all the piercings or whatnot, but I find myself smiling when I'm alone, which is kind of weird, but it actually puts me in a better mood. Like I've noticed, like it is like that fake it till you make it. Like I started forcing myself to constantly smile at people so they wouldn't be put off by my appearance or whatever it was, and it's worked. So.
That's amazing. Jeremy and I could take a lot of pointers from that since both of us suffer from resting bitch face.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say, as somebody who's been told my entire life that that I suffer from RBF. It's funny that you mentioned that with the mask though, because I'm somebody like I said, I live in a Sprinter van when I do expedited freight delivery, so I literally crisscross the country constantly, and I've been doing this entire COVID experience, and ever since I figured out that things were not as bad as they were making them out to be, and that we were getting fed a lot of bad information. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this mask thing. And I've been in at least 35 states, I think, during this time, most of which have some kind of mandate of one or another. But I just refuse to wear them, and I do the same thing. And I must be doing some of what you're talking about the smiling without even realizing it sometimes, because I've been getting some people, and I think it's the people who are wearing the mask because they feel they're forced to, or they feel like they have to, but really don't want to, but don't want to rock the boat. These are the people that'll actually have been remarking on my smile a lot lately, and it catches me off guard because, number one, I'm never used to hearing that. I'm like, I'm always a cranky person. What are you talking about? I mean, I've been a cranky old man since I was in my mid-20s. So, but yeah, it's funny. Like you realize, and I think some of that's becoming infectious a little bit.
Did you
I'm kind of happy to see that.
People approach you more and talk to you more now?
Well, people, if I come across other people who aren't wearing one, at the very least, you get the head nod, or like the, hey, kind of like just like, hey, I see you, you're one of us, type of people. But a lot of it's the cashiers or the people that in the different stores that I go to. Those are the ones who have actually wanted to talk to me more. I was just recently up in Michigan for a job, and they have things are going crazy up there. Wretched Twitmer, as I refer to her, has just gone completely insane with all of her mandates and whatnot. And I went down and sit to a diner for breakfast, and they had signs all over the place. And all the waitresses and everybody was wearing masks. But I just walked in, and not a one of them said a word to me about my mask. But I overheard them having a conversation. I overheard them complaining about it. So I had the time to kill. So I interjected, and I ended up starting a conversation with them that got all the waitresses wrapped around my table. And as I looked around, I noticed most of the other customers were also kind of like leaning in to hearing what I was saying, because I wasn't being an asshole. I was just laying out, which I can be. I'm normally an asshole, but I was being polite. I was just laying out the facts of like, listen, like, what do we know about this? What are we being told? Does this seem right to you? And you can see so many people just nodding their head and go, wait a minute, maybe this guy's got a point. But yeah, it's usually like the waitresses or the cashiers or something like that. They'll come closer to me. Other people, like the Karens out there, they run screaming still. I haven't had many encounters, luckily. I had one cranky old woman in of all places, a rest stop in Louisiana who wanted to say something about me not wearing a mask. And as soon as I looked at her and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't medically wear it," when I took a step towards her, she panicked and ran the other way.
Wow.
But other than that, people just don't say anything to me. I mean, I have a couple of buddies that do this job with me, and we have completely different experiences. Because they go places, they've been thrown out of places for not wearing a mask, and they'll just capitulate and wear one. And I'm like, dude, I go to the same states as you. I go to California. I haven't worn a mask once in California. I get nasty looks, but nobody says anything to me. And I just go along with my day and, do whatever, It's weird. It's been a very surreal experience.
Yeah.
The only place I've really had a problem is Laredo, Texas. that place has been a nightmare since day one. They were
It's
the
his
first.
favorite
They were the
place on earth.
I fucking hate Laredo on so many levels. They've just made it worse because they were actually the first city in the entire country to institute the mask mandate and the $1,200 fine that went along with it.
Holy
And they're still rocking it. They're still rocking it hard. They have armed security guards at the Pilot gas stations that I usually hang out at, sleep at overnight. And yeah, they won't let you in without a mask. And they won't even play the whole, you know, I can't medically wear one. They want to argue with you. And I'm just like, I just don't even bother. I make sure I have enough supplies when I get down there that I don't even have to go in the stores. It's not worth it. But overall, most places, even in some of the places, like I remember when I was told originally, at least I was told, like at OKC, I guess they had they were pretty strict with it at one point, I was told. But I went in there, nobody ever bothered me. Nobody ever said anything to me. But yeah, I am finding the longer this goes on, more and more people, if you give them the time and you do that, you know, you smile at them and you kind of just like, hey, man, what's going on? You know, they're willing to talk about it and they're willing to be, you know, not be freaked out by you not wearing one. Now, most of them still walk away wearing their mask or whatever, or, you know, don't bother to take it off. But, you know, at least I'm putting some ideas in their head.
People in parking lots when I'm leaving or coming and I don't have my mask on, and like women and men, they'll take their mask down and just ask me questions. Like one lady was like, can you eat that granola plain for like cereal? And I was like, well, I guess if you want to, probably not the most healthy thing to do. You should mix it in yogurt or, you know, like sprinkle it on top of stuff. And we sat for like 20 to 30 minutes in this parking lot just chatting. And she was like, thank you. And then we didn't even get each other's names.
That's awesome.
You could tell that she was like, she didn't want to be wearing that mask.
No.
And she was starving for human interaction.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. And she was like, this was like the highlight of my day. Thanks for chatting with me. And I was like, no problem. You know, like highlight of my day. You know, it's great chatting with you. Like, and that's happened several times. Like,
Yeah.
I've never gotten any dirty looks or anything.
Oh, well, I mean, because I have the RBF, it probably has something to do with it too, you know, but I always get dirty looks from it. But like I said, nobody ever says anything to me, but for the sake of what you were saying before, I think I've been told I intimidate people a lot. So I'm sure that has something to do with it too. They're just like, we're just not going to mess with this guy. But that's the what you're talking about, just talking to that person in the parking lot. That's awesome because I've had like one or two encounters like that. But I know a lot of people who have done that and have gone out and purposely, like they're trying to advocate the no mask things to others, and they've actually gotten people to like break out and like give them a hug. People, again, they don't even exchange names, but it's just like, because people are, I mean, I think that the type of people you're talking about, those people that you can tell they really don't want to be wearing this thing, but they don't want to stand out. They don't want to rock the boat. They think they're doing the right thing. They're just like, oh, well, this does suck. And it doesn't make sense to me, but everybody else is doing it. I don't want to be chastised. But I think it's those type of people that are starting to now, at least in my experiences traveling the country, that are starting to come to the realization that they had no clue how disconnected they were from people before this. And now when you take away the ability for people to even without words, to express themselves, because you're blocking out the ability to smile. Like, people can't see your smile. Even if you are, like, you have to really look close to be able to tell if, you know, the whole I smile with your eyes thing. Like, people don't notice that. Now some of these people are going, man, like, I don't have any connection. So I've had friends who, like I said, they've talked to people like that. In the end, the person's like, is it okay if I give you a hug? Because people just actually are realizing, oh shit, I don't have connection with the human beings outside of like maybe my immediate family at this point. And it's really weird. And it sucks, but I'm glad people are coming to this realization. I hope more of them do. Maybe then we can finally get a lot more of these people to stop listening.
Reminds me about something we did recently. This was just kind of just because of the whole COVID stuff, and it's just like a side thing. And we pretty much do this every Saturday now because we've gotten permission from the owner of the buffeteria where we do it. But we did a sign blitz where I made a shit ton of signs because I had some left over from like 2016 back when I was with the Libertarian Party, when I knew I was an anarchist, but whatever, done with that stuff. But I had all these extra signs, and I'm like, dude, I can bust out a ton. So like we had, COVID is tyranny, show us your smile, join us, like a lot of positive statements, and then also and then they were like double-sided, and then, a lot of like, well, still positive, but basically, the government is immoral, but not those words exactly. But we had, the first time one of our core groups did it there, he was by himself. I got there about 10 minutes before we left. 3 people had stopped to talk to him, and the third guy was still there when I got there, and we chatted, and like, it was awesome. And so the next day, I think he went and talked to the owner, and he was like, yeah, you guys can come out here every Saturday morning to do this if you want to. And now the next door dispensary guy saw us this last Saturday and came out and was like, y'all, come do this in front of my store, and I'll call the media and have them come interview you. And we're like,
Oh,
we don't really want the media because they're going to turn it into shit we don't want it to be.
Like, we're not really into that.
well, as somebody who's been slandered through the media, I can totally appreciate that. But that's awesome about at least about the owner. I mean, his heart was in the right place, and that's great, because that's exactly what we're saying. If you put yourself out there enough, at some point people are going to see you and start going, wait a minute, I'm having these thoughts in my head, and I'm not the only one.
We got
So maybe
tons of honks. So
yeah,
that's awesome. That's so awesome.
That is really rad. It truly is. I think I've not really gotten I've gotten a little bit of pushback. We don't wear masks either. I've flown to Utah, to Colorado, and back like 6 times without a mask during COVID.
Wow.
I've never been asked or approached to wear, well, I was asked once during the flight if I would put one on. I refused, and she pissed off. And so we cohabitated the rest of that flight. But
Granted, there's only 6 other people on that flight, but still.
okay, well, it was a small flight, but still, you have to walk through 17 miles through airport to get anywhere. So sport the no mask, the few times that I am asked, I just always, I can't hear you. I read lips, I can't hear you. And I force them to take off their mask to talk to me, because I can't. I am kind of hard of hearing a little bit sometimes. If there's other noises in an ambient noise, then I get totally distracted. Jeremy can confirm. I'm like, what are you saying? What? But I think that's fantastic. I think people are so afraid to be the salmon going upstream. They're so afraid of being singled out. And that's dog shit, honest to goodness. We're singled out being anarchists every fucking day, every goddamn day we have to listen to the goddamn status bitch about their slave owners. And every freaking day I'm like, singling myself out. So it's nice when you use your powers for good. And the show us your smile, fucking brilliant. For that exact reason, honest to God, people are so removed from human interaction, from human touch, from human anything, that a smile can make people come.
We have a free hug sign, and we have a wanna chat ? You don't need permission, anti-social distancing. We have a gambit. The gambit of signs.
Did you tell them our name?
And we meet every
Don't be a
Saturday.
mask hole. That's my favorite.
It's super secret.
Oh, I don't know which one's my favorite. Jesus.
Our public group though is the agorists voluntary.
Is that a secret name?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
That's our very special.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I did, which I haven't actually met anybody through the group yet, but I created a meetup group called the Tulsa Voluntary Agorist Society. And in case there are other agorists or voluntarists out there looking for, like kind.
She's our networking
And,
queen.
Sounds like it.
It's still there, but like I said, I haven't met anybody on there yet. But that's what we also have named our well, no, we call it the Northeast Voluntary Agorist Society, but Northeast Oklahoma. That way it'll just, the way it goes out beyond Tulsa. But
That's
anyway, but
fantastic.
instead of calling it a freedom cell, we call it that, the Voluntary Agorist Society. But it is our freedom cell.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
amazing.
Do you want to tell them about LOT, like what we're going to do tomorrow, actually?
So I've been involved in another group it formed out of the Ron Paul grassroots campaign in Tulsa. And after headquarters shut down, we wanted to keep doing the things we were doing, like having speakers and discussions.
This is actually where I met her before Derek Bros.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I met you through a different activism, but Chet's been coming regularly to Liberty on Tap too. He's actually part of Liberty on Tap now. But anyway, we called it Liberty on Tap, and it's always at someplace local that will have beer. So, you know, the on tap part. And we have all kinds of discussions. We have all kinds of speakers show up. And tomorrow what we're going to do is, are you familiar with Larkin Rose's island analogy?
I'm probably not familiar with much of anything underneath my rock, but
Okay,
Jeremy
well,
probably has
that's what
everything.
we're
I'm sure I've heard it before.
He talked about it in Acapulco a few years ago, but I did this a few years ago and it was a big hit. Basically what it starts out was you tell the group that we're stranded on an island, and then you start working these different scenarios, and you start putting in like, you know, different challenges too, or issues that the group will have to figure out how to deal with on their own. But the goal is at the end of this exercise, no one has ever said, let's form a government. And so you basically just demonstrate to everybody that they truly are anarchists. And so we're going to do that tomorrow, but we're going to put a little freedom cell spin on it.
What's the freedom cell spin?
So instead of one large group, or we start out with one large group, and as my experience from last time, things start to get a little crazy because you have like so many people talking about how to handle something. So we're going to split up into the smaller groups, which is kind of the whole idea of the Freedom Cell organization, where you have like 8 to 10 people in a group working together, because that's sort of the optimum number of like for creativity and getting things done, and without it kind of getting out of control. So we're going to do that little exercise and see how much better things move through it. And at the end, everybody will still know that they're anarchists.
As if there was any confusion, you know?
Right. Yeah, point out the obvious, but
sometimes you have to, honest to goodness. The fear porn on the media is on its A game right now. Like, someone turned on the news in this house for like 30 seconds, and I was doing dishes, and I was like, God damn, no wonder people are like terrified. Like, Jesus, like they have got it all going.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's gross. It's real gross. So I would love, let me just sneak in that I would love if you guys could give me an update on how your event goes tomorrow, because the splitting into the smaller groups is kind of my vision for the magazine, is creating a hub for people. And if you guys can make it happen with your island game or scenario, that would be really helpful to kind of figure out what the hell I'm doing.
when a friend of mine also, and I wanted to mention this before, and I'll just kind of lean into it, but the Dallas-Fort Worth area freedom cells, they've actually have trade routes going on now. So they have set up some pretty cool things there too. But one of my friends who helps organize over there in Dallas, I told her this idea, you know, that I was going to sort of put this freedom cell spin on this exercise tomorrow. And she asked if I'd be willing to go to Dallas and do it with like a group down there. And so depending on how it goes, and if it really seems like there would be a need or want for that, it's something that could be refined, I think. And because it gives like a real demonstration, because a lot of people, I think they just kind of have this idea, they don't really understand what it's about. And sometimes you get too bogged down in the details of the organization of it. So this will give them like a really fun, interactive way to see how it would happen.
It's brilliant. Honestly, it's honestly brilliant. It's such a smart and creative way to show people to stop waiting for someone else to come up with the solution. Stop waiting for someone else to save you. You know, you're stranded on the desert island. What are you going to do? You're going to find water, you're going to find shelter, you're going to find food, you know? And so many people, exactly right, get stuck on the details. Oh no, I'm lost. Okay, dummy, do something about it. You know, like it's really smart. It's such a great way to have fun while showing people how to problem solve, which has been bred out of us like canning, honest to goodness. You know, you've got a door that says push that you really need to pull, and 20 people can't figure out how to get into the building. It's amazing to me.
Yep.
So I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think we're all going to be there too. So
I would love an update. I mean, we don't have to record it. It doesn't have to be anything, but if you just wanted to send me like just a, you know, just a little, here's how it went down. Like that would be really extraordinary.
Sure. Definitely.
So I have a question that came up in my listening to how wonderful you guys all are. It kind of sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like you each kind of have like a niche or a specialty, right? Like I've got the networking guru, I've got the telecommunication type security app guy, you know, and Kimberly. Tell me about the gentleman's roles. What are your specialties, guys? Or maybe Lisa, if you've got a different specialty too, gardening maybe.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things actually in the very beginning, people that show up to our meetings, we have them fill out
we have like a skill sheet.
a skill sheet where they list their skills, and then we they have them list skills they would like to learn, and so that we all mutually benefit from that. But yeah, so
for me, I don't know. I wouldn't say I really have like a specialty. I do really enjoy the gardening aspect of things. I came from a medical background, so I mean, reading that kind of literature or reports, or you know, it's just a whole nother language. I'm pretty familiar with stuff like that. Elbow, you know, just elbow grease, general worker. Yeah, I try to be really a jack of all trades and master of none, I guess.
Me too.
That's my strategy.
Chad's always down for action stuff that involves
shoveling dirt,
whatever.
Yeah,
we went over and shoveled dirt at Three Ponds community. They had like a leak in their third pond, so we just went out there and shoveled dirt for a couple of hours, and it was really fun because we had good conversations and
developed a pretty good little network with them.
Yeah.
And maybe build on that relationship. So
that's fantastic.
It's like an intentional community
that they're working on. It's like a spiritual yoga community.
Yeah.
So
and they do plant medicine and stuff like that. Yeah. So
yeah.
That's rad. That's super cool.
I have 25 years in commercial and residential construction. That's my background primarily, but I'm also a musician and some other things.
Did you say musician?
Yeah.
Excellent. Construction and entertainment. I mean, that's like...
I could build my own stage.
Actually, we're going to have, he's going to probably going out for our upcoming Midfest in April.
Yeah, we'll have some organized music out there to some extent this time. I think there was a lot of maybe some jamming that went on last time. I plan to invite several musicians this time. Now it may be an unplugged type thing, but we're going to start working towards a musical and artistic presence at these things.
That is so cool. I love it. So you said home construction, Matt?
Commercial and residential.
Commercial and residential.
I'm
Fantastic.
I'm a glazer by trade. I do commercial glass or window systems and doors. I do a lot of storefront and curtain wall. But that's my primary trade. But I was a remodeler, a residential and commercial remodeler for over 10 years.
Fantastic.
And so some of our other members who weren't able to be here, the guy that we've met out east of us, who's also connected with the Ozark group, he's an engineer, and he's also just a knower of all kinds of really awesome things and a wealth of information and a real asset to our group. And we also have a communications guy who has ham, CB radio. And so he's going to help us set up our alt communication network. And then we have another guy who is really plugged into like this, the Second Amendment groups. He's ex-military.
Preppers.
Yeah. He also has offered to do a security assessment of everyone's homes.
Excellent.
Like that. So he's sort of kind of our physical defense guy too. And we do have like another IT, person. So all of us have something very unique to bring to the table, and we just work on our strengths.
I feel like it's very well rounded.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it absolutely sounds like it. So I have another question then. Did this just happen? Did you guys just kind of find your skills, or did you seek out an engineer, or did you seek out a defense guy?
It's all
No,
organic.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just what happened. It was like
it
spontaneous.
worked. I mean, and after we kind of thought about it at one of our meetings, and we were like, man, it would be good to like maybe have a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse or, but yeah, no, we all just came together organically. Yeah.
I know we do have some people who are, because we've been talking about this for a few months, and Liberty on Tap's been a great platform to connect with other people. Now people are kind of starting to contact me privately, and it's like, hey, is there room for a naturopath? I'm like, heck yeah, bring them on in. And we do have a couple of attorneys who are definitely like-minded and right there. They're not involved actively in our group, but they're there and they know about us, and we know that we can call on. So we know who to call on if we need to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Could you guys send me a copy of your skills sheet that you have people complete, that the skills that they have and the skills that they would like to learn?
Sure.
Because I would love to use something similar for my own, tribes. I'm a member of Caledonia. I'm a member of Pasnia. I'm a member of, I'm another one of those people that has tribes kind of all over the place. And I also, sorry, Jeremy keeps getting booted out. So I also have a supply chain that I'm working on for the magazine. So I'm working on logistics. Jeremy and his crew are long-term drivers. So I'm trying to set up like a logistics team where I can pick up supplies and or people and deliver them through a safe network of like-mindeds. So that is kind of what I've been working on with the magazine, in addition to about 400 billion other things that I'm trying to work on with the magazine. And so a lot of your connections, I would also love to connect with, like the people that are kind of doing that in the Texas area. That's kind of what I'm trying to do also. And so far we're doing it. We picked up backpacks yesterday. We picked up backpacks full of supplies yesterday in Wisconsin, and we delivered them to a homeless network in Texas. And we did that overnight. And
yeah, that's another thing that we've kind of like, I mean, even back during Derek's first tour, we did like was that the first or the second, when we did the community garden thing? Like part of the day was like listening to
Yeah.
about freedom cells, and then we went out and did action
Like
work,
community action thing.
community action stuff. So
Now, Kim and I, a few years ago, with that hurricane, there was the group that got
Yeah.
organized to send supplies out, and that worked out really
I
nice
was
too.
with, yeah, that was
So-
the Liberty Coalition for Disaster Relief. Who's actually the anarchist ambassadors, and I like thought about it. Like we started like doing it, and it became a thing, and they actually like turned into a nonprofit. But we had people coming when Texas got hit really bad with Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
We had people coming from all over the country in semis with water and food and toilet paper. I mean, all kinds of things like that. FEMA like turned them. We had to find alternate routes. We were working with the what are the boats that go
redneck.
Right.
yeah, we were working with them as well.
Wow.
And we had people on the ground keeping us informed and telling us where to go, and like it turned into it was a spontaneous thing that happened, but it ended up helping so many people.
Yeah, it absolutely sounds like it. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's I think it's still going. Because when Florida got hit, I think I stopped focusing on that because it became a thing of its own. It became
Right.
so big. I was like, okay, time for me to go back to my little local
Yeah.
stuff.
That's outstanding. Yeah. So we're kind of trying to do the same thing on a more broad scale, I guess. Like there are no impending issues necessarily, but I have a mother of 5 that is looking to leave Pennsylvania and find asylum in Arizona. And I've got a network kind of working on kind of finding her refuge along her way. And that with supplies, and I'm also trying to kind of start like a not-for-profit type store, like almost like an online thrift store for people all over the country that if they're trying to get rid of stuff, whether it be edible, not edible, whatever, they can list it on my website, and someone, if they can come to barter agreement or barter or whatever, they can exchange those goods from my website, and then hopefully we can get the logistics going more soundly and more dependably that we can actually start delivering things too. So connecting with groups like yours, which connect me with even more people that have thought of these things. I've done a lot of work overseas, but I've never really done any work domestically. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's harder, because I mean, I ran supplies to Palestine for a long time and Syria for a long time. And you'd think that would be really, really difficult. But I find because I've lived underneath a rock in the United States for so long, trying to do the same type of humanitarian aid in the States, it's hard because I don't know people that I can trust. I don't know people that don't have nefarious things in mind. And so trusting people has been my biggest problem.
And of course, this year with all the COVID crap, and I'm sure that's not made it any easier.
No, it's definitely made it not only more complicated, but more weird more than anything. Just really weird. So it's inspiring to connect with freedom cells such as yours, because we do get bogged down with the details, no matter how on our game we are, no matter how much experience we have. Sometimes the details or the obstacles are all we can see. So the more people that I connect with that have found a working way around those obstacles, or even to say, fuck these obstacles right now, I'm going to move forward and I'll circle back to them when I have more skills. Even that is inspiring. And you guys seem to be attacking it from just about every possible angle. And like so many people are doing the same thing. We're living parallel lives, and we've got our fingers in different things, but for the most part, our end result is the same. Our end goal is the same.
Yeah.
And I love to hear when you guys connect and we just decided to start where we were. So simple, yet it's so complicated, right? Like all these people are like, I want to start a thing, but I don't have money to buy land. Well,
Right.
you know, it's great. It's fantastic. And so hopefully when our powers combine, we can become Captain Anonymous. I don't know. So yeah, ignore the nerd in me.
It's like, yeah, I'm one too. So it's
Okay, good. Nerds love to flock together, don't they?
I
So
think
that's
the issue with
fantastic.
a lot of people, they're like, well, I don't know where to begin or what to do. And honestly, for a long time, it was just us getting together and hanging out and talking about stuff. And we weren't even quite sure how to, what to do first, how to get things going. And
Yeah.
just kind of stuck with it. And we were consistent and persistent. And then things started happening. So we just kind of have to work through some of that mundaneness or that uncertainty and find the path at some point. So
Initiate yourself.
I mean, honest to goodness, it seems so simple, doesn't it? Just start doing something. But people are like, no. So how did you prioritize when you started meeting and you had all these ideas and you started out with like everyone else, I've got all these great ideas, but I just don't know what to do with them. I don't really know where to start. How did you guys start? Did you first make a goal? Did you prioritize, or did you just start winging it?
you froze up for a second.
we missed the
so how would we just
how did you
prioritize?
How did you prioritize? Did you get goals? Did you just start doing things? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about some goals, and even in the Freedom Cell, and John Bush has created sort of a living document to so people can contribute to sort of a manual, especially so people can see, well, what do you do first? And some of the things that they suggest is, food storage and homeschooling co-ops and things like that. It's all pretty low-hanging fruit that we can work on individually, but we can help each other get there. So I think that was really how it started. Like, what can we easily do with who we have? And then the garden bed was, super easy, low-hanging fruit. But it just starts creating that energy, and once you start getting that energy going, then things just start happening. And then people are watching and they're like, oh, hey, they're doing stuff. And, sometimes it takes other people, they want to stand on the sidelines and let other people get things going. And then they'll jump in and say, oh, hey, they're doing stuff. Then let's do it too. So we just had to,
we actually talked about that, and it was like, hey, I mean, Chet, it was like really, it was like, yeah, let's just, do it. Let's just do some shit. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, yeah, let's do some shit. Like,
I'll admit,
people will see it, and people will want to, like, all the people that are standing out there, like, not doing shit,
right?
But they don't know what to do. Maybe they'll see us doing shit, and they'll join.
I didn't get involved until they did start getting serious, because basically, the honest to God's truth is I'm a musician, and if I had a nickel for every flaky motherfucker I've come across in bands and shit, I mean, it's like I've wasted my time so many times with things that it's a little embarrassing now that I was gun shy, but the truth is, once I saw this really taking shape, I was much more willing to jump right in and start helping.
I don't think you're abnormal there by any means. I think it's human nature to wait to see if you fail first. That's why we didn't fly like 100 years before the Wright brothers. We were like, nah, it sounds like a cool idea, but you're crazy. And so you watch enough people crash and burn that you're like, see, I was right not to jump in, and that we miss real opportunities to jump in. I don't think that's odd, and I don't think you should ever feel bad about that. I think that's absolutely a human piece to our little complex weirdness.
Kim and Lisa have really inspired me. They are the hardest working people in our freedom cell. And I really think they
behind
gave
the
me
scenes girl.
they gave me
Secrets out, girl.
they gave me a pretty solid green light. And I kind of off again, but then I came back as soon as I came to my senses. So I'm really glad, and I'm recently involved, but I'm committed at this point.
He's on board.
I'm definitely on board.
I think that's fantastic. I absolutely think that this needs to get out for sure. There are a lot of us that are so afraid of maybe really committing at first, but I think, like you said, once you figured out that this was the real deal, you were like, I have to do this, and I think that's great.
And it took some time for us to get to know some of us have known each other for a long time, but when we start meeting new people and then, start showing up consistently, it takes a little time to get to know and trust those people before you start, before you decide to
Before we open up all of our plans to everyone, we have a vetting process.
Absolutely.
But yeah, obviously trust is a big thing, but that's why we have monthly core meetings, and we also basically
we have this sort of outer public.
We have the inner
too.
ring, which is our core cell, and then we have this outer ring where we have the other Saturdays we have social meetups, and our core group or part of our core group is there, and then other people come in and we have discussions and things like that. So we don't just have one core meetup a month. We have several.
Pretty much meet every week.
Pretty much meet every weekend.
Nice.
And sign way beforehand the last few times. So
That's important. So would you recommend that their tribes meet about, weekly or monthly at least? I mean, that's a great way to kind of check in with people, or is it just kind of each group kind of does their own kind of thing? I see you, Chet. I see you.
Yeah. I recommend it. I don't know, because this is a pretty special thing. I mean, it is organic, and sometimes we're like, we will take a week off. It's not like a church service.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we'll just impromptu have one when we weren't planning on having one. So.
I love it. Silly me. I'm asking an anarchist what they recommend to tell other people.
So for our monthly, we decided, everybody decided, it was consensus, that we have one serious meetup each month to discuss our projects, to talk about anything new that's coming up, and check in with each other that way, because not everyone can meet every weekend like we can. Right. And so that at least gives them a day that they know that they can put aside and be there, so we can keep our so we can stay on track with some of the things that we're working on. And then the rest of the time is the other weekends are to hopefully encourage new people to come, where they can learn about what we're doing and freedom cells and the voluntarism and the agorism, and kind of a recruitment platform.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. So let me ask you a question then. Is it like herding cats?
Always. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a good cat herder.
We just talked about this the other day in group, I think.
Honest to God, I have Colorado anarchists. Over here. Honest to God, it's like, God damn it. I've got like 2 people will come, 3 people will go away. 3 people will come, 4 people will go away. I'm like, for the love of God.
And it was like that for a while. And we did have some people come, and they haven't been in a while, but they're still kind of plugged in. So I wouldn't say they're in our inner circle at this point, but they're still there. And they've got things going on, and so as soon as they can pick it back up, then we'll be here. Yeah.
Well, that's excellent, and also inspiring that you haven't given up. Like fuck you guys, I'll do it on my own. Because honest to God, I fight those feelings a lot with the Colorado crew.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't really have a whole, I mean, honest, I have a ton. Okay. Like I could sit and talk to you guys for like 4 days, but I think Zoom gives me a bit of a time limit and I've got a kid that's probably getting hungry. But I loved is an understatement. I loved talking to all of you. And I'd love to do it again. It doesn't even have to be a recorded thing for the magazine, just to talk, man, because you guys are fantastic.
Yeah, we like to do that too. And
Love
in
it.
fact, on Freedom Cells, we kind of it created out of sort of a demand or a want or a need is we have a weekly Freedom Cell support call every Sunday, and that's just a good way for everyone to connect who might be feeling isolated, who might need to vent about some things, who are new to Freedom Cells and have some questions. And so we've just kept that going every week too.
Well, and that's not just Tulsa. That's like,
That's
Right.
global.
yeah, that's a
global.
global freedom cell thing.
Yeah.
If y'all wouldn't mind sending me some info on that as well, I would love to kind of, I mean, if you guys would be open to it, I would love to stick it in the magazine for any of our readers that might need some support, that might need a little, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's for.
That would be great. Do you guys have stuff that you want the world to know? Or, well, the world, my audience?
Refuse and resist.
Always.
And yeah, just start building your community. And you know, there's no manual for it. You just do with what's working for you, where you're at, just get it going. It's just important to start connecting with other people. And I would also encourage everyone to get on Freedom Cells and find people in their area.
Yeah.
And start connecting that way too. Just
at least they're like-minded. I mean, you can go out and start meeting your neighbors and doing community things, but if you're specifically looking to network with like-minded folks, being on the Freedom Cell site and signing up, and it's like being able to just quickly find people in your like state and city, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Chet,
like I literally, like before I read Derek's manifesto, the first thing, before I even met him or whatever, I had met her like through LOT, but I didn't even really realize that she was an anarchist because we weren't that close really.
Right.
But I pretty much thought I was like the only one who really felt the way I felt here until that moment. And then I was like, oh shit, there's actually like quite a few people here that I can talk to about anything, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Is it common with like libertarians? Are libertarians just a bunch of closet anarchists or something?
I think real libertarians, like if they followed the path, would turn to anarchism. Like if they followed it all the way by the principle, but that's not how it works in politics. So
how long does it take for a libertarian to turn into an anarchist? And usually it's either the next election cycle or a couple of years.
I was gonna say 2 to 4 years. Yeah.
My first interaction with a campaign. After that, I was like, I am totally not a libertarian.
I checked the wrong box. Yeah.
I think I went from Republican to anarchist because I was working the Ron Paul grassroots campaign. Never been political before. Experienced that whole shit show, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. This is rigged. This is so rigged and so.
Ron Paul, I think, was the catalyst for so many anarchists. I think so many people wanted Ron Paul to do something. And when it didn't happen, that realization of, oh shit, I'm a slave kind of sets in. And I think Ron Paul was huge in that movement. I mean, if you ask 10 anarchists how did you become an anarchist? I'd say probably 8 of them will mention Ron Paul
Yeah.
in their journey. So he was huge. And I think you're right. I think libertarianism is just one step closer. And I think 2 to 4 years typically. And there are some true libertarians that have been libertarians for decades, and they'll die a libertarian, and I have a lot of respect for them, but I am waiting for them on the dark side. I am waiting for them on the yellow and black side. I froze up, didn't I?
You
Yeah.
did.
I'm like, poop. Dang.
I'd really want people to know that they are empowered, that
Yes.
they need to stand up now. And once they stand up, they will find a whole lot of other people who are going to do it too. And take their power back, live like they're free people.
Yeah.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, folks, I am just so in awe and appreciative and completely humbled by your guys' talking with me and sharing a little bit about what you guys are doing, and keep doing it. Keep the good fight going. You guys are an inspiration for so many that you don't even know. And
Thanks, so are you.
well, we're all doing it, right? Like, we're all trying to do the thing. So I'm so grateful to you guys and your time, Chet, Matt, Lisa, and Kimberly. I am so thankful to all of you. And I would love to connect again, just off the record, just as friends, and just kind of talk about the other cool stuff that we're doing too. And
Yeah, we're down.
yeah, check out the magazine. And Kimberly, I'd love to connect with you more off the record regarding the communication, because I'm trying to do that too. My little fingers in that pudding pie also. So yeah, I think you guys are all fantastic. I really appreciate it. From RtA Magazine, Road to Autonomy. Jeremy keeps getting booted, but we both thank you very much for your time and meeting and talking with us. And man, if we, the magazine, can help you guys at all, if we can support your tribe in any possible way, whether it's stuff that we're doing with distribution and logistics, with getting the word out for certain things, with even connecting other people to the Freedom Cell, please let me know. I am at your disposal. I would love to absolutely support you guys in any possible way that I can. I have about a 1,300 person network all over the United States that I also, I call on if I need emergency services in their area. And that goes for you guys too. If you ever need anything at all, please let me know. I've got some friendlies peppered around you guys. So.
That would be amazing. We'd love to connect.
Yeah. Me too. Rawr, I love it. I have goosebumps right now. I like it.
That's awesome.
So that's fantastic. Well, I'll let you get on with your beautiful lives, and I'll let you kind of get going with all of the good stuff, and I'll leave you be. But I would love to connect again. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
You guys have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Dharma.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Dharma. I think I have seen her on.
I'm friends with Jeremy.